What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. Right now we have what is being called an accurate, quotes there for accurate, and detailed story outline for Jake Schreier's X-Men movie. And no, it's not too early for an outline story to exist right now. We know that Marvel Studios has already announced this new X-Men movie. Michael Leslie is the writer. Jake Schreier is the official director for the film. They've been working on this actually for quite some time now. And we've been hearing a lot from the Russo brothers and from Kevin Feige that Secret Wars is actually going to be a beginning. Yes, it's an end, but they've also been saying Avengers Endgame was an ending. Secret Wars is a new beginning. And we know that the new beginning is a new universe. Kevin Feige has described it as a reset of the main timeline. And with that reset comes new X-Men. And we've heard that they're going to cast mostly smaller actors for the X-Men role, which I think is a good idea. But today we have what seems to be a story outline for what the X-Men movie could be. And keep in mind, the X-Men movie is going to release pretty much right after Secret Wars. Marvel Studios has a few dates listed that come very quickly after Secret Wars. Now, with all supposed detailed story outlines or plot leaks that are posted online, take this with a grain of salt. Even though it's being called accurate, we don't know if this is the actual story for X-Men, but it might be. And regardless, it's a lot of fun to go over. So reportedly, this was first posted on 4chan, and the person who posted it says, according to a few scoopers, a story outline that recently got posted for Schreier's upcoming X-Men movie is circulating online, and it seems rather accurate. This is the only one that I and a few others think it could be, so take it with a grain of salt, as always. But it says the mutants will be introduced into the MCU through, you guessed it, the multiverse. A large number of mutants will migrate to the MCU after their own homeworld was destroyed following the events of Doomsday/Secret Wars. They will be coming from Universe 617, the neighbors of the MCU's 616. A large portion of these mutants will just be very unknown background characters with very random powers, especially created for the MCU. And a select few will be known X-Men, such as Magneto and Professor X, who will be friends. Rogue, Cyclops, Storm, Jubilee, and so on, while some fan favorites such as Wolverine won't be around at this point in time. So right away on this point, it did sound like Marvel Studios was trying to keep Hugh Jackman's Wolverine around for a good amount of time, till he's 90. But who knows what Marvel has planned for him and Deadpool. Perhaps their movies are just going to be kind of one-off meta movies that go around the new multiverse and aren't exactly acknowledged by the others or the MCU as a whole. We'll have to wait and see on that. But this says that Professor X, using Cerebro, would have chosen Earth 616 specifically after seeing how they celebrate heroes and those who are different, which is a very nice thought and definitely aligns with what Professor X and Magneto would want. But it continues to say, however, despite Professor X's optimism, when these mutants arrive in the MCU 616, there will be a lot of backlash from the rest of society. People and governments will begin to argue that they don't belong here. There are too many people with powers, and that Earth can't really handle a population increase, especially after already offering refuge to the Asgardians, which is a narrative point that Kevin Feige really wanted to use to reflect modern politics and the current migration crisis. Now, right away as I'm reading this, it definitely sounds like this movie actually could take place before Secret Wars. It almost sounds like it would have to if this is truly what they were trying to do. I'm not sure this would really work post Secret Wars. In fact, I don't really think that the multiverse is going to play too big of a role post Secret Wars. I think we're going to focus just on one new reset universe. But we did hear a rumor recently that the X-Men movie might come out before Secret Wars. And again, since Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers are saying that this is basically a new beginning in Secret Wars, perhaps they would want the X-Men to come out before then. However, I'm not sure I prefer that, and I don't know what everyone's going to think by the end of this. It continues and says, this is something that will even somewhat divide established MCU characters, but one character who will be on the side of the mutants and be at the center of this film will be Miss Marvel. In the film, she will make herself known to the mutants and become an ally, having been able to relate to them with the fact that her parents migrated to the US in search for a better life, which as a result of, her and her family have received discrimination. Now, as I said above, at this point, Magneto and Professor X will be friends. However, whilst Professor X will be a lot more sympathetic of the humans who want them gone, Magneto will be a lot more angry and fearful, having just come from a universe where mutants were treated like dirt and discriminated against. So whilst Professor X believes that they should simply be patient and respectful towards this new Earth, believing they will eventually come to the right decision, whether they should be allowed to stay or not, Magneto will begin to form plans with another small band of mutants as a way to turn the tide. And I mean, right here is kind of one of the main stories of the X-Men, the divide between Professor X and Magneto, about how they should fit in with the world, how they should fit in with society, their difference in beliefs there. I mean, that's pretty much classic X-Men, it's classic Professor X and Magneto, and Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, has actually said before that they do want to explore this. They do want to go into the story about how the X-Men don't necessarily fit into society and how a lot of society is scared of them. But it continues and says, at the center of this plan will be Miss Marvel, who Magneto will discover has a mutant gene that was unlocked by the cosmic radiation given off by her bangles. And I mean, this part right here checks out because Marvel already made it known that's what they are doing with Miss Marvel. At the end of Miss Marvel, they said that she has a mutation. And when they said that, they played the X-Men theme song. Plus, not to mention, she has actually been rewritten in the comics, and the actress who plays Miss Marvel, Iman Vellani, has helped a lot with that. So it's very obvious this is the route that they are going down. But it continues and says, up until this point, Professor X and Magneto presume that humans of the 616 universe don't possess mutant genes. Magneto will also discover, after coming into possession of government files, that a similar thing happened with the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who gained their powers after being exposed to the power of the Mind Stone. In the film's climax, this will lead Magneto, using Miss Marvel and her bangles, to trigger the dormant mutant gene for everyone who possesses it on planet Earth. Magneto will see this as a way to unite the refugees of Earth 617 and the inhabitants of Earth 616. This will also later lead to the introduction of 616 variants of certain mutants such as Wolverine. In the backdrop of this, Professor X and his team of mutants will be wishing to prove their value to Earth 616 by completing missions, offering knowledge, and even helping certain Avengers, such as Sam Wilson's Captain America, on their own missions. And that is what it says, and I gotta say, after reading the entire thing, I do not think this works after Secret Wars. I think the only way that this would work is if it happens before, and the multiverse is still intact, at least for the most part. Because if it does take place before, this actually really does fit very well within the multiversal storyline. The multiverse existing, some people becoming aware that the multiverse exists and other Earths exist, and then going from one universe to the other. Plus, not to mention, by the rules established in Multiverse of Madness, this should not be okay. A bunch of people going from one universe to another and staying there based on the rules described already, that should destabilize and confuse that universe, leading to an incursion, which again, if this comes in the Multiverse Saga, that makes sense. But if it comes after Secret Wars, where the multiverse is essentially gone and the main universe has reset, I don't think this works at all. So here's what I actually think about this. I think this might have been a previous script that Marvel was working on before. We had heard that for well over a year, probably 2 to even 3 years at this point in time, Marvel Studios was interviewing a bunch of different writers for the new X-Men film, and they were going over a lot of different stories that could happen. And while they were doing this, they were deep in the multiverse saga. So I think that's where this story, the outline of the story, has come from. And I also don't think that this story, if it were the X-Men's true story, wouldn't be leaked this far in advance. Of course, as we got closer to it, we'd get some leaks, we always do, but this is really far out. So what this most likely is a previous story that Marvel was working on before they went to a new writer and before they got a director. Because again, it makes sense in the Multiverse Saga. It plays off a lot of things in the Multiverse Saga. It plays off Kamala Khan. It plays off the rules of the multiverse. If the X-Men came to this universe, then an incursion would most likely happen, but that was going to happen in Doomsday and Secret Wars anyway, so the incursion happening makes sense as well. Also, the connection with the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and the mutant genes being activated, that lines up. Plus, also, we get the classic story of Professor X and Magneto being friends, but then being kind of torn apart by how they think the mutants should fit into society. I mean, in all honesty, it's pretty standard standard, but the multiverse stuff leads me to believe that this is probably an older script that won't be used. And honestly, I like that because I think the new X-Men movie should basically be a fresh start in the new universe. But go ahead, let me know what you think about this. I definitely think parts of this are going to be in the new X-Men story. In fact, I think we'll probably see a great majority of this in the new X-Men movie, just nothing with the multiverse. But again, there is a chance that this could come out before Secret Wars, and if that did happen, would you like to see this story on screen for the X-Men? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all Marvel news, rumors, and leaks. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.